quote unquote border czar. Vice President Harris was not a border czar.
Meantime, Vice President and border czar Kamala Harris facing some backlash.
What he said about Harris and immigration was not true. She was never appointed border czar.
And this will be her first visit to the U.S.-Mexico border region since she was appointed as the border czar by President Biden.
People are going to have to counter the misinformation. You already hear folks talking about the border czar. She wasn't the border czar.
President Biden tapped Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, to be the border czar.
Now, she wasn't the border czar. That's what Republicans labeled her.
They were very critical of Kamala Harris, especially in her role as border czar.
Now what she's up against is folks lying about her border record, calling her a border czar.
Kamala Harris, who was appointed as the border czar.
The Biden team didn't declare her the border czar. They wanted her to work on kind of the root causes of immigration.
There has been so much criticism against Kamala Harris. You know, she was the border czar.
Calling her sort of the border czar, which wasn't necessarily the case.
So the border, if they weren't planning to address it in a major way, do not make her your border czar. She met with some of the Northern Triangle countries, but nothing has effectively changed.
She was never called the border czar. She wasn't the border czar. What are they talking about? All of this has to change now. They have to get her as far away from Joe Biden and his get to the back of the bus policies as they can. And the biggest, the most egregious is their dismal record with the border. And they have to do this. They don't have a choice because they've already anointed her. None of this should surprise anyone. That they would lie through their teeth. Media denies, according to the Daily Wire, that Kamala Harris was Biden's border czar amid unprecedented illegal immigration. Members of the media are trying to create distance between Vice President and presumptive Democrat nominee Kamala Harris and the unprecedented illegal immigration crisis, denying that she was the border czar under Joe Biden. Of course she was. And a wide array of journalists, That's right. From the New York Times to NBC, everyone is on board. Wow, she's a wonderful, wonderful woman. Have come out to defend Harris, arguing that she was never tasked with handling the illegal immigration crisis, despite Biden publicly tasking her with handling the illegal immigration crisis at the southern border, calling her, quote, the most qualified person to do it. Biden's past statements did not, however, prevent members of the media from attempting to create distance between Harris and the unprecedented crisis on the southern border, which resulted in a record number of illegal border crossings under the Biden-Harris administration. CNN's Dana Bash claimed that Harris, quote, was put in charge of combating the roots of immigration. She was never and is not the border czar. A new story from Time magazine argues that, quote, this is on the cover of the Time magazine, Harris was never Biden's border czar, close quote. They're going to gaslight you into believing that never happened. Instead, saying that her role was to focus on examining and improving the underlying conditions in several Latin American countries that many illegal immigrants come from. A similar story published this week, this one in USA Today, also attempted to create distance between Harris and the immigration record of the Biden-Harris administration. The article points out that Harris was not, quote, put in charge of the border, close quote, and that her role was instead focused on addressing the, quote, root causes, close quote, of mass migration to the border of the United States. Man, this is unbelievable. Axios said that, get this one, quote, updated and clarified, close quote. They had to update an actual report from their own news organization, a 3-year-old article today that openly acknowledged that Harris was, quote, appointed by Biden as border czar. The so-called clarification was made after the outlet published the story claiming that Trump unfairly labeled her as the border czar. So you can't, the entire establishment now has to come back and defend her. They must defend her and distance herself from the dismal failure of Joe Biden. Biden did, however, specifically task Harris to take the lead. I don't care what you call it. If you don't like the word czar, fine. She was the lead, tasked by Biden to get to the bottom of it, which she didn't. I don't care what you call her. Call her the head honcho. I don't care. Call her the big kahuna, if that floats your boat. I don't give a crap. She was in charge of stopping the illegal immigration. Quote, I've asked her, VP, today, because she's the most qualified person to do it, to lead our efforts with Mexico and Northern Triangle and the countries that are going to need help in stemming the movement of so many folks, stemming the migration to our southern border, Biden said in March 2021. Harris spoke at the same event and assured the public that the administration would, quote, enforce the law on our southern border. Quote, while we are clear that people should not come to the southern border now, we also understand that we will enforce the law. Really? You're going to enforce the law? You mean you're going to start deporting them, right? You're going to start sending them back. No. That's not what she means at all. It is a lie. It is a uncontested lie. Here, look. From NBC, Justice Department sues Texas over state law allowing police to arrest migrants who cross border illegally. Not only were you not going to enforce the law, you are going to sue any state that would enforce the law. The dismal failure of this administration, you won't get away from it. It will be hung around your neck like an albatross, and the stink of which you will not get away from. All of a sudden now, everyone now has to come in. No. Kamala's wonderful. She's a wonderful, wonderful woman. Wonderful. She's so wonderful. I can't even say how many times she's wonderful. She's wonderful. Good God. You know, in Finnish, and I just learned this today, in Finnish, I mean the language, Finland, you know what Kamala actually means? Go look it up. It means dismal. By the way, it's apropos. Apropos, baby. So now they're going to gaslight you. Hold on a second. Before I let you go, because I just remember this.
Visit to the U.S.-Mexico border region since she was appointed as the border czar by President Biden.
People gonna have to counter the misinformation. You already hear folks talking about the border czar. She wasn't the border czar.
President Biden tapped Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, to be the border czar.
Now, she wasn't the border czar. That's what Republicans labeled her.
For those of you who are only listening, you were seeing the media before Biden dropped out and after Biden dropped out. This was the media before. This is the media today.
They were very critical of Kamala Harris, especially in her role as border czar.
Now what she's up against is folks lying about her border record, calling her a border czar.
Kamala Harris, who was appointed as the border czar.
The Biden team didn't declare her the border czar. They wanted her to work on kind of the root causes of immigration.
There has been so much criticism against Kamala Harris. You know, she was the border czar.
Calling her sort of the border czar, which wasn't necessarily the case.
So the border, if they weren't planning to address it in a major way, do not make her your border czar. She met with some of the Northern Triangle countries, but nothing has effectively changed.
Quote unquote.
That's what you have to know. And by the way, all of your leftist friends are going to start saying, no, she wasn't. Do you know why they're doing that? Because everyone knows it is an utter failure. And what people should be asking her, hey, Kamala, if you are elected, are you going to fire Mayorkas? Why don't you tell us today? Because he is the architect of the chaos you're trying to distance yourself from. All right, that's it for now. If you like this video, smash that like button and subscribe. And if you're following me on Rumble, please press that follow button. And until the next time, God bless.